bringing the president. That's just before they enter the National Assembly. Behind the maize bearer, you can see Sifiso Sindiso Mfanyana, who is the Secretary of Parliament.
The tradition's very much still Eurocentric, aren't they?
Very much. There is a debate currently about reforming some of these traditions, removing the maize, some of the clothing that they wear. There was quite a hilarious incident last year where it was suggested that the maize bearer, Mr. Godfrey Klein, work that he should be wearing, you know, some African, traditional African garb, and it went.
Would that be a loin cloth?
Well, there are some other clothing, you know, sort
yes,
of
more
etc.
I just had visions of him coming along, and it sort of wouldn't work for him, would it?
Well, it could work. He's an African, I suppose. So, well, he should be comfortable with that kind of clothing.
And I think looking at Frini Ginwala's outfit in some ways is a mixture of what is Eastern and what is African.
Very much. I mean, what South Africa is all about, you know, what South Africa is a place, a history of a connectedness between different peoples, colonialism, I mean, and apartheid. Our history brought this together, yeah. And the chairman is wearing a very West African.
He doesn't look out of place at all.
And actually, when you watch these the dignitaries arriving and you look at the fashion, you really understand the meaning of the word rainbow nation.
Very much. The Parliament, I think, the 94 Parliament in many ways was seen by many across the world as probably one of the most representative of any country where there's sort of multi-ethnic, multicultural population.
Well, outside of Parliament, the Guard of Honor returning to its former place. And inside, well,
there will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation.
Well, I think he's probably relaxed because he's done this before. He might not have done the State of the Nation, but he did speak at the opening of Parliament last year, and he had one other big speech in August. So I think President Mbeki, I think he's custom well into the seat of power, definitely. I think the expectation probably is very much with you know, business.
Honourable members, the President has requested that a joint sitting of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces be convened in terms of Joint Rule 7.1 to enable him to deliver his annual address to Parliament. I now call upon the President to do so. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I feel somewhat intimidated this morning. I see that we've got Nelson Mandela with us. And Graça Machel and my mother. I thought you might use your powers, Madam Speaker, to declare that their presence in the House is unconstitutional. Madam Speaker and Deputy Speaker, Chairperson and Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, honorable members of our national legislature, President of the Constitutional Court, Chief Justice, other judges, heads of the security services, honorable premiers, representatives of local government, and distinguished guests. At no other point of time have we ever been as well placed as we are today to take decisive forward steps towards the creation of the humane and people-centered society for which the organizations that were unbanned 10 years ago struggled for many decades. It is now 10 years since the people's organizations were unbanned, the last political prisoners released, and the exiles began the journey back to the land of their birth. In the course of a mere decade, we ended the entrenched and pernicious system of apartheid white minority rule. We have put in place a constitutionally governed and stable democratic system whose permanence has been underwritten by 2 successful general elections. We have put behind us the practice inherent within our social order for 3 centuries and more of the resolution of competing interests by resort to repression, to violence, and to war. We have turned an economy that was headed towards a catastrophic meltdown into one that is poised to advance in a way that will address the needs of all our people. Where suffering and degradation were the only things that were certain in the lives of millions of our people, we have created a situation in which these millions are now better able to carry their pain because hope has taken the place of despair. Having ended our dark days as a pariah country, we can rightly say that today the nations of our common universe are confident that out of South Africa will emerge a thing of value that will contribute to the building of a more humane world. Surely, Madam Speaker, we are entitled to make the claim that as a people, both black and white, we did in a mere decade carry out a multifaceted task whose accomplishment speaks highly of the capacity of our people